Imagine this. Over 284 million people worldwide suffer from anxiety. That's not just a number, it's about the population of Indonesia, the fourth largest country in the world. Anxiety and stress, two words that seem to have become all too familiar in the 21st century. They are not isolated problems, rather, they are global issues that affect millions of lives daily. These silent predators sneak into every aspect of our lives, leaving no stone unturned. Let's take a moment to understand the magnitude of this issue. The prevalence of anxiety and stress is so widespread that it has become somewhat of a global epidemic. It's like a tidal wave, sweeping across continents, leaving a path of disruption in its wake. Now let's delve into the impact of these silent predators. Anxiety and stress don't just tamper with our mental state. They go beyond, infiltrating our physical health, our relationships, and our productivity. They can lead to a plethora of health conditions, from heart disease to gastrointestinal problems. They strain our relationships, turning them into a battlefield of tension and unrest. And they sabotage our productivity, transforming our vibrant energy into a sluggish crawl. It's a ripple effect. The more stressed or anxious we become, the more our health deteriorates. The more our health deteriorates, the more our relationships suffer. And the more our relationships suffer, the less productive we become. It's a vicious cycle that keeps spinning, pulling us deeper into its vortex. But it's not all doom and gloom. While anxiety and stress are indeed formidable foes, they are not invincible. There are ways to combat these modern-day problems. And sometimes, the solutions lie not in the future, but in the past. Clearly, anxiety and stress are no small issues. But what if I told you that some ancient philosophy could help us combat these modern problems? Enter Stoicism, a philosophy that originated in ancient Greece around 300 BC, and has been used by some of the most successful people in history to manage stress and anxiety. Stoicism isn't just a philosophy, it's a way of life. It was formulated by the likes of Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, who were not just philosophers, but also teachers, statesmen, and emperors. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's in our control and accept what's not. So what are the principles of Stoicism? Well, there are four main pillars: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom is the ability to differentiate between what we can and cannot control. Courage is not just physical bravery, but also the mental strength to overcome adversity. Justice involves fairness and treating others with respect. Finally, temperance is about moderation and balance. Now you might be wondering, how does this help with stress and anxiety? Well, Stoicism encourages us to accept the things we cannot change. It's about understanding that some things, like the weather or the actions of others, are beyond our control. By focusing on what we can control, such as our thoughts, actions, and responses, we can reduce feelings of helplessness and anxiety. Furthermore, Stoicism teaches us to pursue virtue. It's not about chasing external rewards or recognition, but about being the best person we can be. It's about acting with integrity, even when no one is watching. This pursuit of virtue can provide a sense of purpose and fulfillment, which can help to alleviate feelings of stress and anxiety. Stoicism is a practical philosophy. It doesn't promise instant relief or a life without challenges. What it does offer is a framework for dealing with life's ups and downs. It encourages us to be resilient, to maintain perspective, and to act with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But don't just take our word for it. Let's look at some famous Stoics who have successfully managed stress and anxiety. Ever heard of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor? Or maybe Seneca, the great philosopher? They were both Stoics, and they used Stoicism to navigate the pressures of their high-profile roles. Let's start with Marcus Aurelius, a man who wore the weighty crown of Roman emperor from 161 to 180 AD. Despite the luxury and power he possessed, Marcus chose to lead a life of simplicity. His personal writings, now known as Meditations, are a testament to his Stoic beliefs. In the face of political upheaval, military threats, and even a plague, Marcus held firm. He reminded himself that he couldn't control these external events, only his response to them. And he chose to respond with calm, acceptance, and an unwavering focus on his duty. Now let's journey back in time a little further to the life of Seneca the Younger. Born in 4 BC, Seneca was a statesman, dramatist, and most notably, a philosopher. He was the tutor and advisor to Emperor Nero, a role that was anything but stress-free. Yet Seneca's Stoic teachings guided him. He wrote extensively on the human condition, grappling with issues of anger, life, death, and happiness. Seneca held that our reactions to life's ups and downs, not the events themselves, determine our peace of mind. He believed that by accepting what we cannot change and focusing on what we can live a life of tranquility. Another notable Stoic was Epictetus, a Greek philosopher born into slavery. Despite his lowly status, Epictetus managed to rise above his circumstances. He taught that our perception of events, rather than the events themselves, cause our distress. He maintained that by changing our perspective we could change our emotional response. His teachings remind us that it's not our situation that causes us stress, but how we perceive it. Then there's Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. After a shipwreck left him destitute, Zeno turned to philosophy. He developed Stoicism around the central tenet that by mastering our desires and fears, we can achieve inner peace. He taught that happiness comes not from external possessions or status, but from living in accordance with nature and reason. These great Stoics, each with their unique stories, shared a common understanding. They realized that we often cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. They understood that by accepting the inevitable and focusing on our actions, we can navigate life's challenges with grace and composure. In the face of adversity, these Stoics chose resilience. Amidst uncertainty, they chose tranquility. And in the presence of stress and anxiety, they chose acceptance and focus. Their lives serve as powerful reminders of the strength of Stoicism. Now, we're not all Roman emperors or philosophers, but we can certainly learn something from their approach to life. So you might be wondering, how can I apply Stoicism in my life to manage stress and anxiety? Well, let's dive into that. It's quite simpler than you might think. First things first, identify what's within your control and what's not. The Stoics believed that we should focus our energy and efforts only on the things we can control. For instance, you can't control the weather, so there's no point in getting upset about it. What you can control is how you react to the weather. You can choose to complain, or you can choose to accept it and adapt. The same principle applies to all aspects of your life, your work, your relationships, your health, and so on. Next, learn to accept what is beyond your control. This is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. It's about understanding that life is unpredictable, and that many things are beyond our direct influence. Instead of fighting against these realities, we should accept them. This doesn't mean being passive or resigned, but rather understanding the nature of things and working with, not against, that nature. But how do you accept these uncontrollable circumstances? That's where developing virtues like patience and resilience come into play. Patience allows you to endure challenging situations without losing your cool, while resilience helps you bounce back after setbacks. These virtues aren't built overnight, but with consistent practice, they can become second nature. Finally, practice mindfulness. Stoicism encourages us to live in the present moment, to be fully aware of our current situation and actions. By being present, you can better manage your reactions to stress and anxiety. And here's a pro tip: start small. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. Start with one aspect, one situation, or one reaction at a time. Over time, these small changes can lead to significant improvements in your ability to manage stress and anxiety. Remember, it's not about eliminating anxiety and stress completely. That's not realistic. It's about managing them effectively so they don't control you. Stoicism then isn't just a philosophy, it's a practical tool that can help us live better lives. We've traversed from the prevalence of stress and anxiety in our modern world to the ancient wisdom of Stoicism as a potential remedy. We've walked in the footsteps of renowned Stoics, gleaning insights from their stories. And we've explored how to apply these Stoic principles in our everyday lives. It's important to remember that Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions, but rather understanding and managing them. It teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. This simple yet profound wisdom can be a beacon of calm in the storm of life's uncertainties. I encourage you all to delve deeper into Stoicism, read more about it, reflect on its teachings, try implementing its principles in your life, see if it makes a difference. Stoicism isn't a quick fix, but with practice, it can become a powerful ally in the battle against anxiety and stress. So why not give it a try?